Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing 11 foods that can really transform your body in a very short amount of time. So let's dive into it. If you guys are new here, my name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition and human performance. And we're actually in week 6 of the summer challenge, which is absolutely mind blowing. I can't believe it's already here and like we're in the last week. But if you haven't already gotten the 6-week summer meal plan yet, it is limited release. This is the last week to grab it. It has over 50 brand new recipes, brand new information to help support your body fat loss goal while also eating the most nutrient dense foods in the world. Like I mentioned, over 50 brand new, delicious, super simple, and easy to put together recipes. So if you guys haven't already grabbed it, the community has been loving this year's program. I do have it linked down description below. We only have 7 days left that you can grab it before it is gone for good. But once you own it for life. Okay. So now let's dive into the actual topic for today, which are foods that can completely transform your body in a very short amount of time. So I wanted to cover foods that hit these 3 main markers. So fat loss being one, because I know that there are a lot of people with a body recomposition and fat loss goal. And there are a lot of factors that can be hindering your progress, like poor sleep, not being satiated, having cravings, and having poor muscle recovery. And these foods can help to support each of those aspects, but also bloating and energy levels. So each of these foods that we're going to be talking about help to address each of these factors. All right. So the first one is one of my all-time favorites, and that's eggs. Eggs are really the easiest way to bump up satiety. They are extremely nutrient dense. They're so satiating. They're one of the most satiating foods, which means that it can really help to shut off hunger and shut off sugar cravings, make it so much easier to achieve a fat loss goal. But on top of that, as like a little bonus, the nutrients that are specifically found in eggs can help to promote skin hydration and elasticity. The reason why I specifically wanted to add this in is because over the last what's it been like 10, 11 months now, I've been having 3 eggs every single day. And that was a huge change for me. I wasn't used to having that many eggs that consistently. And I have noticed my skin just feels a lot more hydrated, just feels so much more youthful, if that makes sense. So I wanted to make sure I added that in. Even though it's not something we typically talk about, I've noticed a huge change since eating 3 eggs per day. All right. Next up is sweet potato. So sweet potato specifically helps to address the poor muscle recovery because if you aren't recovering well from your workouts or just from your day-to-day activities and not repairing that muscle overnight, then that can lead to muscle loss and a slower metabolism and obviously make it harder to achieve or maintain your weight loss goal. So we do need to, especially if you are quite active or if you are doing some type of strength training, we do need to help support muscle recovery. And one aspect of that is replenishing the carbohydrates that are lost from our muscles during the workout. That's where something that's like a high quality, medium to high glycemic load carb, like sweet potato, that's also more nutrient dense, can be very helpful with that. The burger bowl from this year's 6-week summer meal plan, that's linked down description below, uses my sweet potato fries within there, which is delicious and a very easy way to get in sweet potatoes, especially on workout days. All right, the third food and it's not really food, I guess it's food, like coffee, but it's a drink, but specifically half caffeinated coffee. So half caffeinated coffee is important, especially if you find that you struggle with sleep, because a lot of people are drinking either too much coffee or caffeine rather, and having it too late in the day, which can really disrupt sleep quality and can lead to things like insulin resistance, cravings, hunger, the resultant muscle loss from the poor sleep, and the resultant slower metabolism from the muscle loss. So sticking to a half calf coffee helps to keep the caffeine intake lower so that you can have a higher quality sleep. But my own like little personal hack, the thing I've been doing, especially during this season in life when my sleep has been horrible with a newborn, I stick to 1/3 caffeinated coffee. Purity Coffee is the brand I use. I have a discount code right there if you want to check them out, but it's the only one that I've been using for a long time. And I love their 1/3 caffeinated coffee because I get that like little hit that I need just to make it through my day when I'm feeling sleep deprived, but I'm not getting like overly caffeinated where I won't be able to sleep at night. All right. The next food is strawberries. I've never been very good at English. All right. So strawberries are one of those like really great low sugar berries, low sugar fruit. And it also, in addition to being like low sugar and low glycemic load, it helps you add substantial bulk to something like a yogurt or cottage cheese bowl, which is fantastic, especially for helping to act on that stretch mechanism within the stomach to then signal to your brain that you're full, you're satisfied, and you don't need to keep eating. Plus, they just taste great, especially right now when they're kind of in season. It's an amazing topping. So it can take the place of other more sugary toppings like granola and therefore also be more supportive of a fat loss goal. All right. The next food is protein powder. So this is going to specifically help with muscle recovery as well as satiety and the feeling of satisfaction after a meal or fullness. This is adding a little bit of protein powder into a meal is a really great way to easily increase your protein, especially if you're finding that you're struggling with getting enough protein into your meals. One hack that I love about using a vanilla unsweetened or zero added sugar rather protein powder is that it can help to cut through the tart flavor of yogurt, especially if you aren't really a fan of unsweetened yogurt. Because if you're to get like sweetened yogurt, it is going to be loaded with added sugar. So it's a good way to cut through that added sugar, but while also getting the like more sweet flavor that you might be looking for. And then it also makes foods like pancakes and waffles possible again. If you guys followed my postpartum 20-pound weight loss journey, was that like in late 2023 through 2024, you know that I was like living off of my protein waffles, the chocolate chip protein waffles. They were so good. This recipe that I'm showing right here is from this year's 6-week summer meal plan, the ricotta pancakes that also use some protein powder in there too to help bump up the protein. Just makes it nice to be able to have some of these foods that you thought were previously off the table part of your routine again and be able to also have it support your goals. So obviously you guys know I have my zero added sugar protein powder that tastes amazing in these recipes. So if you guys want to check it out, you can find it on my website at autumnlnutrition.shop, autumnelle nutrition.shop. All right. Next up, we have ground beef. So this is something that I've personally been doing often during my lunches as well to help really boost satiety. In fact, somebody on our team, Katie, and I've recently discovered this is like last year that when we have ground beef specifically at lunch, it makes us feel so much more satisfied from our meal than if we were to have another type of protein than like, let's say chicken or turkey. There's just something about ground beef. It could be the nutrient density in it. It could be the like slightly higher fat content, but something about it does tend to make it much more satiating than other proteins. And it's also really easy to use in a lot of different recipes. And it's one of the lesser expensive cuts, or if not the least expensive option for beef. So it's really versatile. And especially if you find that you struggle with those 3 p.m. like hunger or cravings, experimenting with having ground beef at your lunch as your protein is a really great option to test out. Okay, next up is cauliflower. I love using cauliflower in place of rice. This is one of those another like instantaneous results things that you can see where if you are used to using like white rice, which is very high glycemic load, white rice is so blood sugar spiking that it's really not suitable for a fat loss goal, especially if you are carb sensitive or insulin resistant, or you really struggle with hunger or cravings. But you can still have a lot of the same types of recipes that would normally use white rice and use cauliflower rice instead. I love that there's so many like pre-riced options that you can get in the freezer aisle now, which makes your meal even faster to cook up. It literally takes 6 minutes or less to cook up cauliflower rice versus like regular white rice, which can take about 20 minutes. So it's also a faster option too. But this is a great hack if you find that your fat loss has been stalled and you need to stick to mostly those low glycemic load carbs. I used in this recipe rather, the cauliflower rice to make the coconut cauliflower rice in the Hawaiian grilled teriyaki bowl. So good. That's from the 6-week summer meal plan listed down description below if you guys want to check that out. Okay. And then salt, this is another one that's like almost instantaneous where you can see the benefits if you are lacking in it or if you're not having enough. Salt gets often a bad reputation, but we actually literally, like quite literally need sodium in order to send messages from our brain to the rest of our body. So it helps with our energy levels. It can help with headaches and muscle cramps and your overall workout performance. The way that you can go about incorporating salt is first of all, just salt your food salt to taste your food. That can help to cover a lot of your needs. But if you do find that you need a little bit more salt, like let's say if you're drinking a lot more water because you're doing something like I am, like breastfeeding, and you need to drink a lot more water, or if you're exercising and so you're drinking a lot more water and losing a lot more electrolytes, that's where adding in an electrolyte replacement is also fantastic. Check out my hydrating grapefruit mojito, also from the 6-week summer meal plan. Delicious. Okay, papaya. This is one we don't talk as much about, but I wanted to mention it because we had a fairly recent, like back in February, amazing example of how great papaya can be for your GI tract. But if you guys aren't familiar with papaya and papaya enzymes, people often use these for digestion or bloating or constipation. It's because there's literally enzymes in papaya that can help to break down food and just help to improve your overall digestion. But what people don't realize is that you can also get a lot of those same benefits from just not taking like the supplemental version of papaya enzymes, but actually eating papaya itself. So when we were in Hawaii back in, I think it was February for our baby moon, I saw this in action when my toddler Sage first had papaya, and she was eating a lot of papaya and she had no issues with constipation. So it definitely does work. And it's also a low glycemic load option when it's fresh, not dried. That's a huge caveat. So make sure to opt for fresh when using it. You want to make sure to eat it with a meal like the protein yogurt bowl in this year's meal plan as well. Okay, next up is apple cider vinegar slash lemon juice. So both of these work kind of in a similar way where they can help to balance blood sugar levels and help with digestion and possibly acid reflux. I used apple cider vinegar and lemon juice, both of these during my whole, both pregnancies actually, but I didn't struggle as much with acid reflux with my second pregnancy, but I lived on apple cider vinegar and lemon juice during my first pregnancy when I had a lot of acid reflux. It really helped to improve my acid reflux. So if you struggle with something like that or have digestive issues, then having something like apple cider vinegar or lemon juice diluted in your water can really help to possibly benefit your digestion, but it's also just been found to help stabilize blood sugar levels too. So you can just add like a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to your water or squeeze like one or half of a lemon into your water as well. Put it in sparkling water. It tastes amazing. You can also check out the apple cider vinegar sipper that's also in all of my meal plans and programs. All right. And then ginger, this is another one of my personal favorite hacks for gut health. In the past, those of you guys who have followed me for a long time, you know I really struggled with bloating and just a lot of GI health issues. And ginger was something that really helped me during this time and something that I still to this day will have almost every single night to prevent next day bloating. And that's because ginger helps stimulate the migrating motor complex, or it's also known as the MMC. If you have not heard of that, or if you haven't watched my videos on that, it essentially helps to turn on the gut cleaning process within your body. That's what the migrating motor complex is. It literally helps to flush out left behind food and bacteria that's inside of your GI tract that if it were left behind could cause fermentation and bloating and gas and all that not fun stuff. So I like to take fresh ginger, just slice it up with some lemon. That way you get the benefits of both, and make some ginger lemon tea at night where you just boil it up with some water. It's amazing. Or I'll also throw ginger into like a smoothie. I'll put fresh ginger or powdered ginger, or you can have it in a meal. Lots of different ways to use ginger, but especially if you're looking to maximize on the gut health benefits of ginger, then I would recommend using it as the ginger lemon tea, especially in the evening as the last thing that you have before you go to bed. Okay. So those are the 11 foods that you can try and experiment with and see which will best affect your specific goals and which one you might see the most benefit from. But each of these have their place and each of these have their purpose. So I definitely recommend trying out each one to see how it works for you. But if you guys have not already gotten the 6-week summer meal plan, make sure you grab that. It's linked down description below with over 50 brand new recipes. But otherwise, I'm going to go through and answer some questions. So if you guys have any questions, put 4 question marks before and after your question. It's easier for me to find it. But let me scroll back to the top and see if there's any up here. Hi, Guylaine. Brody, I love that. I'm hoping this is going to be 11 kinds of meat. Well, you have ground beef in there, but honestly, as you probably have seen in the 6 week summer meal plan, a lot of the most nutrient dense foods in the world are going to be various forms of meat. So, although that's not something we focused on in today's video, I wanted to cover more of a broad spectrum of all the different benefits of different types of specific foods. Those of you guys who have gone through my 6 week summer meal plan know that things like lamb and goat and beef and fish, specific types of fish, are going to be very nutrient dense and very beneficial for various goals. Hello, Diana. I see Diana asking, I did start a little early for this one. So usually I'm right on time, but I started like 2 minutes early. So maybe that's why. Patty, poultry is not nutrient dense. Yeah. I'm not sure where you're saying that I did mention that it's nutrient dense because I didn't. And in fact, the 6 week summer meal plan specifically goes into how poultry specifically is not the most nutrient dense food. I've talked a lot about that in recent videos as well. So you said, I like your content, but man, oh man, it's really behind. I think you need to check out my recent content then because I talk a lot about how chicken is great for protein, but it's not necessarily the best option for nutrient density specifically, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have its place. This is something that I also mentioned in the 6 week, or I go into in the 6 week summer meal plan, where I don't like to pigeonhole nutrition and food in general into these specific categories where just because it doesn't suit one goal doesn't mean that it doesn't suit another. Like, for example, sweet potato is not something that is the most nutrient dense food in the world. It's not on that list of the most nutrient dense foods. However, there are a lot of use cases for it, especially for muscle recovery. When you look at the most nutrient dense foods in the world, they tend to be very, very low in carbohydrates. And especially if you have an athletic goal, that's where you do need to be getting in a little bit more of those carbohydrates to support your muscle recovery. Otherwise, that can lead to poor muscle recovery. So that's where something like sweet potato, although it's not the most nutrient dense food in the world, is a great option for that specific goal. So yeah, I agree with you. It isn't the most nutrient dense, but that doesn't mean there aren't use cases for it. Um, okay. Oh, that's great. Elaine, I finally made Greek yogurt using grass-fed whole milk following your YouTube videos. So easy and good. I love the ricotta pancakes. All right, thank you. I'm so glad you love that recipe. I love ricotta. I'm always trying to find ways to use it, and having it in the pancakes just made it like so light and fluffy. So I'm glad you enjoyed it too. Um, okay, that's interesting. So Debbie said apple cider vinegar and lemon water make my reflux so much worse. So this is where it depends on what the cause of your acid reflux is, like if whether or not apple cider vinegar or lemon juice will work, because one potential cause of acid reflux is ironically low acid levels, like low stomach acid levels. And that's why something like apple cider vinegar or lemon juice can be beneficial when that is the issue, because it can help to provide a little bit more acidity and therefore help to prevent some of that acid reflux. That was the case for me when I had acid reflux during pregnancy, and it really helped. However, perhaps you had a different reason why you're experiencing acid reflux. In that case, it might not be the best option for you. Uh, yeah. Christina, welcome. I made it to my first live. I went to Hawaii for my first baby moon too. The papaya there is heavenly. I agree. Sage and I definitely probably had like a little too much, but it was delicious. Uh, okay, Kamini, what about low-fat cottage cheese? So, cottage cheese, you guys know I love cottage cheese. I love using it as a protein source. I love making cottage cheese bowls. It's a very fast, very easy way to get in a high quality source of protein. However, I don't typically recommend low-fat cottage cheese. I always recommend whole fat or whole milk cottage cheese, because one of the other main benefits of having something like cottage cheese or a dairy product like cottage cheese is that it can help provide vitamin K2, which is so important for bone and heart health. If you don't have the vitamin K2, the calcium that's within the dairy won't properly be absorbed and brought into the bones. So it's not as heart health or bone health protective when you don't have the vitamin K2 that's in whole milk dairy, like whole milk cottage cheese. So if you are going to use it, in order to get the best benefits from a more all like nourishing, well-rounded perspective and a fat loss perspective, I usually recommend whole fat cottage cheese, not low fat. What's the best shampoo or hair product you recommend? That is not my area of expertise. I'm not the person you want to come to for that. Okay, Elizabeth, lemon ginger tea only during non-fasting hours, or can you have it while fasting? Typically, for most people, it's perfectly fine to have during the fast. You're usually not going to be getting so much of the lemon juice or so much of like ginger juice portion that it could break a fast. And in fact, I actually have found that it helps to stimulate some of or kickstart some of the gut healing benefits of intermittent fasting by having the ginger lemon tea after the last meal. So I wouldn't be too stressed about that. It's typically something that could work during the fast for most people and even help to enhance some of the benefits. Okay, Keisha. Hi, Autumn. When I add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar to my water, it makes me feel faint and nauseous. Why does this happen? Should I stop taking it? If it makes you feel faint and nauseous, absolutely, you shouldn't keep taking it. It could theoretically be, I mean, it typically is going to help stabilize blood sugar levels. So maybe it's causing lower blood sugar level for you. That's hard to fully determine just from a comment, but that could potentially be possible. Some people do just get nauseous from vinegar in general, but 2 tablespoons is quite a bit. Usually 1 tablespoon is what I recommend. So you could always try 1 tablespoon, see if that works for your body. But regardless, if it's making you feel faint and too nauseous, then that's something that you don't want to use. It's probably not going to work for your body. Wait, did you also say lemon juice? Okay, you didn't say lemon juice. So one thing that you could try is using lemon juice instead. So using like a half a lemon, and that does give a lot of the similar benefits without nausea that sometimes apple cider vinegar can provide. So you can always try that. But again, regardless, if you feel like faint, stop taking it. All right. Um, a lot of chatter about the carnivore diet. Looks like there's one person specifically who's in here, which if it works for you, fantastic. I'm so glad that's working for you and your wellness goals. Does not necessarily mean it's the specific diet that is going to work for everybody and their goals. I do have a full video where I share my updated thoughts about the carnivore diet and who it would work for and who it certainly most definitely wouldn't work for. So if you type into YouTube Autumn Bates carnivore diet, then you'll see 2 videos pop up, but look at the most recent one for my most recent thoughts on the carnivore diet. Tori, has anyone tried the skyr from Painterland Sisters? It tastes great and has 21 grams of protein. I have not even heard of that brand. I'll have to check it out because I love skyr. A lot of questions about a healthy shampoo. Definitely not my area of expertise, so I'm not quite sure. Okay. Larissa, love your content. And guys, thank you so much. I'm borderline high blood pressure. Is it still play? I think you mean like, is it still okay to have electrolytes and salt? Is there anything else I can replace it with? So typically when somebody has higher blood pressure, oftentimes they have some degree of insulin resistance that's causing the body to hold on to excess sodium as well as water. And that could be causing the elevated pressure, like the literal elevated blood pressure, because you have more volume within your body of the like liquid within the blood. That makes sense. So in that circumstance, your body's already retaining. You probably don't need extra electrolytes. It's not that it's necessarily horrible for your body, but it's just not really necessary either because you're holding on to it. In those circumstances, addressing if it is insulin resistance, if it's stemmed from insulin resistance and not something like stress, then that's where addressing the insulin resistance and focusing on low glycemic load carbs can be really beneficial. Getting out for walks to help absorb excess blood sugar also can be beneficial, especially if there's some stress element involved to having, like if it's stress related with your higher blood pressure, then walking outside in a natural environment has been shown to help reduce the stress hormone cortisol pretty significantly. So it can help from multiple perspectives with that. But going back to your question specifically on electrolytes, no, you probably don't need the extra electrolytes. Focus first on the tools that can help to lower blood pressure. And then from there, you can play around with electrolytes if it works for your body. Um, yeah, and Good Culture cottage cheese is always out near me. The other ones have carrageenan. Is that okay? There are a lot of other brands that I would check out. It's hard because I mean, to be honest, I'm not sponsored by them at all. And Good Culture just tastes the best. I don't know what it is about them. Their cottage cheese is just so good. The other ones are a little too sour for me. I love Good Culture. I would check to see if there's any other brands. I don't know the ones off the top of my head. I can't picture the names right now. Working on a sleep deprived state with a newborn, so details like that are a little fuzzy. But I would preferably just look for ones that aren't going to have carrageenan and really stock up when you do see. So what I do when I see that Good Culture is available, I really stock up because they tend to have a little bit longer of an expiry until it expires, like an expiration date. So I stock up on more than I actually need in that moment so that I have some when there's days that inevitably it'll be sold out. Hopefully they start to keep up with the demand because I feel like that's been going on for a couple of years now where they're like always sold out. Uh, There's definitely somebody in the chat who I think either doesn't watch my videos or not quite sure, also mentioning that I say no fat, which couldn't be further from the truth. So, guys, I'm sorry for this person in the chat who is spreading some information that is just factually not true. Okay. Mila, are you drinking store-bought kefir? I thought only homemade has full benefits of kefir. So you can definitely get some good quality kefir at the grocery store. The one that I've been getting, Kelowna. I think it's called Kelowna Superfoods or Kelowna Super something. That one is fantastic and they are very high quality. If you could make it from home, great. But you're right, there are a lot of kefir products that aren't really like true kefir products. It's almost like a watered down yogurt, which is different. So I would just check to make sure that it has the active life cultures and that it has almost like an effervescent taste to it because if it has that like slightly bubbly taste, almost like not literally like sparkling water, but a little bit of that effervescence, then that's typically a sign that it is a more high quality kefir that's made in the way that would be most supportive of health goals. Otherwise, it can be pretty easy to make if you buy like kefir granules. Cultures for Health sells kefir granules that you can use and make kefir at home. I would only do that though if you do have a lot of kefir throughout the week because it's something that you need to keep up with and make every single day. In order to maintain it. Oh, thank you so much. So many nice people in the comments. Kesta, love your vanilla protein. Thank you. What do you think of the Javi protein coffee? I have not seen that one. I'll have to look it up after this and check it out. And maybe my next live stream, I can touch on that. Okay, Mary, I was working across the room. Did I hear you say that there's ground ginger? My fresh ginger seems to go bad fast. There is ground ginger. You can just buy it like in the regular like herbs section of the grocery store. I'll use it in a lot of different recipes, like more savory recipes or like Indian recipes. But I'll also put it in my smoothies. Like if I don't have fresh ginger and if I want ginger in my smoothie, then I'll just use like a quarter teaspoon or so in my smoothie. Definitely like start with less and add more if you want more because ground ginger comes packed with a punch, but it's definitely a great option. I'm not sure if it has as many of the migrating motor complex stimulating benefits as fresh ginger. For those benefits, I usually try and just have the fresh ginger. However, there should be a lot of crossover with having the ground ginger and seeing some similar gut health benefits too. But yeah, it is a great option if you want to check that out. All right, guys. So this was week 6, or this is week 6 of the summer challenge. Like I mentioned, if you want to grab the 6-week summer meal plan, there's only a week left to grab it. Once you own it for life. But after that, it's gone. It's not on the shop anymore. So if you want to grab it with the over 50 brand new recipes, 6 weeks of meal planning, and so much science-backed information to help you achieve your body fat loss goals or your wellness goals, I do have it linked down description below. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is the last live stream of the challenge. We'll be having having more live streams coming up with the fall challenge, which I'll be announcing as we get closer to that. But this has been a really fun challenge. Thank you guys so much. And it's been fun to be a part of this journey with you guys while I'm on my own postpartum weight loss journey. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.